We often hear that caring deeply about something is the key to success. We are taught to push ourselves harder, to constantly worry about our future, and to micromanage every aspect of our lives. But what if I told you that overcaring is actually the very thing holding you back? The burden of overcaring is like carrying a heavy backpack filled with unnecessary worries, doubts, and fears. Instead of helping you move forward, it weighs you down, draining your energy and making even the simplest tasks feel overwhelming. Think about the times in your life when you cared too much about what people thought of you. Maybe you hesitated before speaking up in a meeting, fearful of saying the wrong thing. Perhaps you spent hours overanalyzing a text message, wondering if your words were misinterpreted. Or maybe you held back from pursuing a dream because you were too concerned about judgment or failure. The more you care about how others perceive you, the more you lose sight of your own truth. You start making decisions based on external validation rather than what genuinely makes you happy. And in doing so, you trap yourself in a cycle of stress and self-doubt. Caring too much also leads to perfectionism, which can be one of the biggest obstacles to progress. You might find yourself stuck, unable to finish a project because you're afraid it won't be good enough. You may hesitate to take risks, fearing that failure will define you. The reality is that perfection is an illusion. No matter how much effort you put into something, there will always be room for improvement. But when you care too much about getting everything exactly right, you lose the ability to move forward freely. Instead of taking action, you remain stuck in a loop of overthinking and self-criticism. Another major problem with overcaring is the emotional exhaustion it creates. Worrying excessively about the future, stressing over every little detail, and constantly seeking approval drains your mental and emotional energy. You might find yourself feeling burned out, anxious, or even resentful. The truth is, you were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how much you care, some things will always be out of your control. Learning to let go doesn't mean giving up, it means freeing yourself from unnecessary suffering. It means allowing things to unfold naturally, rather than trying to force them into place. One of the biggest lessons in life is realizing that you don't have to control everything. Sometimes the best way to achieve success is to loosen your grip and trust the process. Have you ever noticed that when you stop obsessing over something, things tend to work out on their own? Maybe you desperately wanted a job, but the more you worried about the interview, the more anxious and unprepared you felt. But the moment you relaxed and approached it with confidence, everything flowed smoothly. When you care too much, your energy shifts into a place of fear and desperation. But when you let go of the pressure, you allow yourself to perform at your best. The same principle applies to relationships. When you care too much about someone liking you, you might start acting in ways that aren't true to yourself. You overthink every conversation, worry about being good enough, and try too hard to impress. Ironically, this often has the opposite effect. People are naturally drawn to those who are confident and comfortable in their own skin. When you stop caring about being liked and start focusing on being yourself, the right people will be drawn to you effortlessly. Letting go of overcaring doesn't mean becoming indifferent or careless. It means finding a balance between caring and knowing when to step back. It means putting in effort without allowing stress and fear to take over. It's about recognizing when your worries are serving you and when they're simply holding you back. The key is to shift your mindset from one of attachment to one of trust. Trust that things will work out as they should. Trust that you are enough just as you are. Trust that you don't have to control every single outcome to be successful. When you release the burden of overcaring, you gain something even more valuable: peace. You become more present, more focused, and more in tune with yourself. You start making decisions based on what truly matters rather than what others expect of you. And most importantly, you create space for growth, happiness, and success to come into your life naturally. So take a deep breath, let go of the unnecessary worries, and remember, when you stop carrying the weight of overcaring, everything begins to fall into place. Life has a way of reminding us over and over again that we are not in control. Yet we spend so much of our time and energy trying to manipulate every outcome, plan every step, and force things to go exactly the way we envision them. We believe that if we just work hard enough, worry enough, or micromanage enough, we can make everything fall into place the way we want. But the truth is, the more we try to control things, the more they slip through our fingers. Letting go of control is not about giving up, it's about allowing life to unfold naturally without resistance, fear, or frustration. One of the biggest illusions we have is that we can control everything around us. We try to control people, their opinions of us, how situations play out, and even things that are completely unpredictable. But life is unpredictable by nature. No amount of planning or worrying can guarantee that things will go exactly as we expect. Sometimes, no matter how much effort we put into something, it still won't work out. A relationship may fall apart despite our best efforts. A job opportunity may slip away even if we were fully prepared. A plan may go completely off track despite all our careful calculations. The reality is control is a myth, and the sooner we accept that, the freer we become. When we try to control everything, we create unnecessary stress and anxiety. We overthink every possibility, analyze every move, and obsess over what could go wrong. This constant mental pressure drains our energy and takes away from our ability to be present. When our minds are preoccupied with controlling the future, we miss out on what's happening right in front of us. We become so caught up in making sure things go our way that we don't even enjoy the process. The irony is that in our effort to make life perfect, we end up making it more difficult and exhausting. The beauty of letting go is that it allows us to trust in the natural flow of life. Instead of forcing things, we allow them to happen as they are meant to. This doesn't mean we stop putting in effort or striving for success. It simply means we stop obsessing over outcomes that are beyond our control. When we loosen our grip, we make room for better things to come our way, things we may not have even considered before. Sometimes what we think is best for us is actually limiting us. By letting go of control, we open ourselves up to possibilities we never imagined. So think about a time in your life when things worked out in an unexpected way. Maybe you lost an opportunity, only to realize later that it made space for something even better. Maybe a plan didn't go the way you wanted, but it led you to a path that was more fulfilling. These moments remind us that life often knows better than we do. When we trust instead of control, we allow room for things to fall into place in ways we never anticipated. Another powerful benefit of releasing control is that it strengthens our ability to adapt. Life is constantly changing, and those who try to control everything often struggle the most when things don't go as planned. On the other hand, those who embrace uncertainty and go with the flow are able to handle challenges with greater ease. They don't panic when something unexpected happens because they understand that change is a natural part of life. They don't cling to rigid expectations, so they are more open to new opportunities. Letting go of control also improves our relationships. When we try to control people, whether it's our friends, family, or partners, we create tension and resistance. Nobody likes to feel pressured or manipulated. The more we try to change someone or force them to behave a certain way, the more they push back. True connection comes from acceptance, not control. When we let people be who they are, we create space for genuine and meaningful relationships. We learn to appreciate others for who they truly are rather than who we want them to be. The same principle applies to self-growth. When we let go of the need to control every aspect of our personal development, we allow ourselves to grow naturally. We stop putting unrealistic expectations on ourselves and start enjoying the journey. Instead of forcing progress, we embrace the process, trusting that every step, no matter how small, is leading us in the right direction. Letting go of control is ultimately an act of trust in ourselves, trust in the process, and trust in life itself. It requires us to believe that things will work out, even if we can't see how in the moment. It teaches us to release fear and embrace uncertainty. The moment we stop trying to control everything, we give ourselves the greatest gift of all: freedom. Freedom from stress, freedom from unnecessary pressure, and freedom to truly live in the present. And when we do that, we realize something incredible. Life has a way of working itself out exactly as it's meant to. One of the biggest paradoxes in life is that the more we cling to something, the more elusive it becomes. We often believe that success, happiness, or love will come to us only if we chase it with relentless effort and obsession. We put pressure on ourselves to achieve specific results, convinced that our happiness depends on them. But what if the key to getting everything we want is to let go of that attachment? The law of detachment teaches us that when we release our desperate grip on outcomes, we actually allow things to fall into place naturally. Detachment does not mean indifference or a lack of ambition. It does not mean giving up on our dreams or goals. Instead, it means letting go of the constant worry, fear, and need to control how things unfold. When we become too attached to a particular outcome, we create resistance. We start operating from a place of desperation rather than confidence. This energy of fear and neediness often repels what we desire rather than attracting it. On the other hand, when we detach, we send a message to ourselves and the universe that we trust in the process. We trust that what is meant for us will come, and we stop trying to force things that may not be right for us. But think about a time when you wanted something so badly that you couldn't stop thinking about it. Maybe it was a job opportunity, a relationship, or a personal goal. You might have obsessed over every detail, overanalyzed every action, and worried about whether it would happen or not. The more you focused on it, the more pressure you put on yourself. And often that pressure created unnecessary stress, which made it harder to perform at your best or even recognize opportunities that could have led you in the right direction. But now think about a time when you stopped worrying about something and just let it happen. Perhaps the job you thought you lost interest in suddenly came back to you. Maybe the relationship you were forcing to work naturally faded away, making space for something better. This is the power of detachment in action. The law of detachment works because it shifts our mindset from scarcity to abundance. When we cling to something, it's often because we fear that if we don't get it, we will be left with nothing. We convince ourselves that this one thing is our only chance at success or happiness. But in reality, there are always multiple paths to what we seek. When we detach from a specific outcome, we open ourselves up to better possibilities. We start seeing new opportunities that we were blind to before. We realize that life is full of options and no single event or decision will define our entire future. Another important aspect of detachment is understanding that uncertainty is a natural part of life. Many people resist detachment because they are afraid of the unknown. They believe that if they don't hold on to something tightly, they will lose it. But the truth is, the tighter we hold on, the more we push things away. Life is unpredictable, and the sooner we accept that, the easier it becomes to navigate challenges. Detachment allows us to move with the flow of life instead of resisting it. It helps us stay calm and adaptable, even when things don't go as planned. Detaching from outcomes also leads to greater emotional peace. When we are attached to specific results, we constantly ride an emotional roller coaster, feeling ecstatic when things go our way and devastated when they don't. This up and down cycle drains our energy and takes away from our ability to enjoy the present moment. When we practice detachment, we free ourselves from this exhausting pattern. We become more grounded, more focused, and more at ease with whatever life brings. We realize that our happiness does not have to depend on things happening exactly as we expect. One of the most powerful ways to practice detachment is by shifting our focus from results to actions. Instead of obsessing over whether something will happen, we concentrate on what we can control: our efforts, our mindset, and our response to challenges. We put in the work, do our best, and then let go of the need for a guaranteed outcome. When we approach life this way, we actually perform better. We become more confident, more creative, and more open to new possibilities. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, we take action with a sense of trust and flow. Relationships are another area where detachment can be life-changing. Many people struggle in relationships because they are too attached to how they want things to be. They try to control their partner's actions, force connections that aren't working, or fear being alone so much that they settle for less than they deserve. But when we practice detachment, we allow relationships to unfold naturally. We stop trying to make people fit into a certain mold, and we accept them as they are. We also realize that our happiness does not depend on any single person. When we let go of our need for validation from others, we become more confident and attract healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Detachment is not about caring less. It's about caring with freedom. It's about giving your best effort, then stepping back and trusting that whatever happens is for the best. It's about knowing that success, love, and happiness will come, but they don't have to come in the exact way you imagine. When you master detachment, you free yourself from unnecessary stress, fear, and frustration. You allow life to surprise you in beautiful ways. And ultimately, you realize that when you stop obsessing over how things should be, everything falls into place exactly as it should. Confidence and desperation are two forces that can shape our lives in drastically different ways. One attracts success, while the other pushes it away. Yet, so many people operate from a place of desperation without even realizing it. They chase after opportunities, relationships, and goals with an anxious need to make things happen, believing that the harder they push, the more likely they are to succeed. But the truth is, desperation repels the very things we desire. When we shift from a mindset of neediness to one of confidence, everything starts to change. Desperation stems from fear, the fear of missing out, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of failure. It creates a sense of urgency that often leads to poor decision-making. When someone is desperate, they become willing to accept less than they deserve just to have something rather than nothing. They stay in relationships that don't fulfill them, take jobs that don't align with their goals, and make choices based on fear rather than genuine desire. This is because desperation convinces us that if we don't grasp onto whatever is in front of us, we might never get another chance. But this is an illusion. The world is full of opportunities, and those who approach life with confidence attract the best ones effortlessly. Confidence, on the other hand, is rooted in trust in yourself, trust in your abilities, and trust in the process of life. A confident person doesn't beg for opportunities, they create them. They don't chase after people, they attract the right ones naturally. When you believe in yourself and your worth, you stop settling for less. You start carrying yourself differently, and that shift in energy changes everything. People are drawn to confidence because it signals security, strength, and self-respect. Whether it's in business, relationships, or personal growth, confidence gives you the power to navigate life with ease. Think about the people you admire the most. They likely have a certain presence about them, a calmness, an assurance that they know who they are and what they bring to the table. They don't panic when things don't go their way because they trust that something better will come. They don't over-explain themselves, seek constant approval, or let rejection define them. Instead, they move forward knowing that setbacks are just part of the journey. This mindset allows them to make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and achieve greater success. One of the most damaging aspects of desperation is that it often leads to self-sabotage. When you desperately want something to work out, you put excessive pressure on yourself and the situation. This pressure can cause you to act in ways that aren't true to who you are. In relationships, for example, desperation can make you overthink every interaction, overcompensate by giving too much, or fearfully cling to someone who isn't truly right for you. In careers, it can lead to taking jobs out of panic rather than alignment with your long-term goals. When you operate from a place of desperation, you're making choices based on lack rather than abundance. And the universe responds accordingly. Confidence, however, allows you to take a step back and trust that if something is meant for you, it will stay. If it isn't, something better will take its place. It allows you to walk away from situations that don't serve you, knowing that you will be just fine without them. This is not arrogance, it's self-respect. And when you respect yourself, the world starts to respect you too. You start to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that match your energy rather than ones that drain it. Building confidence isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about knowing that who you are is already enough. It's about shifting your focus from needing external validation to trusting your own judgment. One way to develop this mindset is to stop seeking permission. Too often, people wait for someone else to tell them they're good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. But the most successful people don't wait for permission, they give it to themselves. They take action despite their doubts. They move forward even when they don't have all the answers. And in doing so, they build the kind of confidence that makes others take notice. Another key to shifting from desperation to confidence is understanding that rejection is not a reflection of your worth. Many people fear rejection so much that they avoid taking risks altogether. But the truth is, rejection is often just redirection. It's life's way of steering you towards something better. When you start viewing setbacks this way, you no longer let them shake your confidence. Instead, you see them as part of the process. You learn, adjust, and keep going. When you stop acting out of desperation, you become more present. You stop rushing to make things happen and start enjoying where you are. You realize that you don't need to have everything figured out right now. You trust that things will unfold in the right way at the right time. And that trust frees you from the anxiety that desperation creates. At the end of the day, confidence is about knowing that you are enough as you are. It's about understanding that you don't have to force things, chase things, or prove yourself to anyone. The moment you embrace this truth, your energy changes. You stop grasping for things that aren't meant for you, and you start attracting things that are. And when you do that, life starts falling into place exactly as it should. Overthinking is one of the biggest obstacles to happiness and success. It's the voice in your head that questions every decision, replays past mistakes, and creates imaginary scenarios of failure and rejection. It's the habit that makes simple situations seem complicated and keeps you stuck in endless cycles of doubt. Many people believe that thinking more means being more prepared or making better choices. But the truth is, overthinking does the opposite. It paralyzes you. When you constantly analyze and second-guess everything, you drain your energy and make it nearly impossible to take action. The more you overthink, the more you hesitate. And the more you hesitate, the more opportunities you miss. One of the biggest dangers of overthinking is that it creates problems that don't actually exist. Your mind starts making up worst-case scenarios, convincing you that something terrible is about to happen. You might worry about what someone thinks of you, even though they haven't given you any reason to believe they have a negative opinion. You might replay a conversation in your head, wondering if you said something wrong, even though the other person likely forgot about it minutes later. Overthinking turns minor inconveniences into massive anxieties. It makes you feel like you're solving problems, but in reality, you're just creating unnecessary stress for yourself. The more you overthink, the harder it becomes to trust yourself. Instead of making a decision and moving forward, you get stuck in an endless loop of what-ifs. What if you make the wrong choice? What if you fail? What if people judge you? These questions keep you trapped in inaction. But the reality is, no decision is ever completely risk-free. There will always be uncertainties, but overthinking won't eliminate them. It will only stop you from making progress. The most successful people aren't the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who trust themselves enough to take action, learn from their experiences, and keep moving forward. Overthinking also robs you of joy. When you constantly analyze everything, you stop being present. Instead of enjoying a moment, you're too busy worrying about whether you're saying the right thing or if something bad is about to happen. Instead of appreciating an achievement, you're already thinking about what could go wrong next. Life is meant to be experienced, not endlessly analyzed. When you free yourself from overthinking, you open yourself up to more happiness, spontaneity, and fulfillment. A major reason people overthink is because they are afraid of uncertainty. They believe that if they think long enough about a problem, they can predict and control the outcome. But life doesn't work that way. No amount of analysis can guarantee a perfect result. Sometimes the best thing you can do is accept that you don't have all the answers and take action anyway. Trust that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way, even if things don't go exactly as planned. Another reason overthinking happens is because people seek perfection. They don't want to make a mistake, so they keep analyzing and planning, hoping to find the perfect solution. But perfection is an illusion. No matter how much you think about something, you will never have absolute certainty. At some point, you have to let go of the need for a perfect plan and just take the first step. Progress is made through action, not endless thinking. One way to break free from overthinking is to set a time limit for decisions. Instead of spending days or weeks going back and forth, give yourself a deadline. Tell yourself that you will make a decision within the next 10 minutes, the next hour, or the next day, depending on the situation. When the time is up, commit to your choice and move forward. This prevents you from getting lost in endless analysis and forces you to trust yourself. Another powerful way to overcome overthinking is to shift your focus from problems to solutions. Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, start asking yourself, what can I do about this? By shifting your mindset from worry to action, you regain control and start moving forward. Even if the solution isn't perfect, taking action is always better than staying stuck in fear. Letting go of overthinking also means accepting that you can't control everything. No matter how much you analyze a situation, some things are simply out of your hands. Worrying about them won't change the outcome, it will only make you more anxious. Instead of trying to control every little detail, learn to trust that things will work out as they're meant to. Overcoming overthinking isn't about never analyzing things again. It's about knowing when to think and when to let go. It's about trusting yourself enough to make decisions without needing endless reassurance. When you stop overthinking, you gain clarity, confidence, and peace of mind. You start living more fully, enjoying the present, and taking action toward your goals without unnecessary hesitation. And most importantly, you free yourself from the invisible prison that overthinking creates. Once you do that, everything in life starts falling into place naturally. Letting go is one of the most difficult but powerful things you can do in life. We hold on to people, situations, and expectations because we believe they define us, because we fear what will happen if we release them. But the truth is, clinging to things that no longer serve us only creates pain and prevents us from growing. When you finally learn to let go, you make room for better things to enter your life. You stop resisting the natural flow of life and allow it to take you where you're truly meant to be. Many people hold on to the past because they believe it is part of their identity. They define themselves by their mistakes, their failures, or the things that went wrong. They replay past experiences in their minds, wondering what they could have done differently. But no amount of thinking can change what has already happened. Holding on to the past only keeps you stuck in a cycle of regret and self-blame. The only way to move forward is to accept that the past is over and that the future holds new possibilities. When you let go of what was, you open yourself up to what could be. Letting go also means releasing control. So many people try to force things to happen in a certain way, believing that they can control every aspect of their lives. But life is unpredictable. No matter how much you plan or try to control outcomes, things will sometimes unfold differently than you expected. The more you resist this reality, the more frustration you create for yourself. True peace comes when you learn to trust the process. Instead of clinging to rigid expectations, you allow life to unfold naturally, knowing that even unexpected changes can lead to something better. One of the hardest things to let go of is people. Whether it's a relationship, a friendship, or even a family connection, we often hold on long after something has run its course. We do this because we fear being alone, because we hope things will change, or because we believe we need that person to be happy. But staying attached to someone who no longer aligns with you only causes pain. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Not everyone is meant to stay forever, and that's okay. When you let go of relationships that no longer serve you, you create space for healthier, more fulfilling connections. Fear is another thing that keeps people from letting go. The fear of the unknown, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of losing something familiar, all of these keep people stuck. But fear is just an illusion. It tricks you into believing that holding on is safer than moving forward. In reality, growth only happens when you step outside of your comfort zone. When you finally release fear, you free yourself to experience life fully, without limitations. Letting go is also about forgiving not just others, but yourself. Many people carry guilt and self-judgment for past decisions, punishing themselves over and over again for things they can't change. But holding on to guilt doesn't fix anything. It only weighs you down and keeps you from evolving. Forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior or pretending something didn't hurt you. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional burden that keeps you stuck. When you forgive, you let go of the pain and allow yourself to move forward with a lighter self. One of the most liberating things about letting go is realizing that you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know exactly how things will turn out or what the future holds. The need for certainty is what keeps people trapped in anxiety and stress. But when you surrender to the unknown, you find a sense of peace. You start to trust that things will work out in ways you may not even have imagined. Life has a way of surprising you, but only if you stop trying to control every detail. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop caring or stop trying. It means you stop forcing. It means you accept that some things are beyond your control and that sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and allow things to unfold naturally. When you let go of attachment, you stop living in a constant state of worry. You begin to experience more joy, more clarity, and more freedom. The irony is that when you finally stop grasping so tightly, the things that are truly meant for you start flowing into your life effortlessly. You attract better opportunities, better relationships, and more peace. You stop chasing and start receiving. And when you fully embrace this mindset, you realize that letting go was never about losing, it was always about making space for something greater.